Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm your host, Paul Jassogne. Thank you for joining us. We broadcast and telecast from the lobby downtown here at Fairfield Federal. And again, welcome to springtime. And gosh, it's an exciting time of the year. The weather, although it wasn't too bad, it's really breaking now into good weather. And there's so many things happening as we move into the springtime of the year and then into the summer. As we just activities everywhere, every day, every weekend has got multiple events going on. We know that, so we're going to try to cover a bunch of them for you. It's a pleasure to have back with us today, and I've often said I could have Mike Tharp, who is the superintendent of the Parks Department here in the Lancaster City. I could have him on about every other week because the parks are involved in so many things here. We were just talking before we went on, Mike, and man, they're almost, and we'll talk about the new book you've got out because it really is a good learning tool into how much the parks is. But almost any athletic event, any sporting event such as fishing, things like that, the parks in Lancaster City have got something going with this. This is a big time department. That's why you have hundreds of employees.
Yeah. No, there's only 16 full-time employees.
That's really, when we, and think about that as we talk about what the parks are going to do in this coming year. Think about 16 employees, but continue.
16 employees, 807 acres, 32 properties right now. That's what we're setting on as a park system for a community that's only 42,000. So that's very large in the perspective of number of citizens versus acreage of park system in our community. If you think about what we are charged with as a park system, our job day in and day out is to keep a clean, good-looking environment for the citizens to go recreate in, but it's also our job to keep them busy. And that's what we do. That's what we set our sights on. What can we do? What is the next big thing out there? What is the thing that will get those kids and adults off the couch and out into a park and make them active and keep them busy? And that's good for all of us.
We're going to talk in a little bit. We'll talk about some of those things. What's the new thing going on out there that the Parks Department is on? We'll talk about that. Things coming up here now and into the summer and into what's going on here in Lancaster. But let's take quickly just a little look back here to 2019. Good year for the parks?
No, it was a year of firsts. I mean, if you want to, so we lit up Mount Pleasant.
Was that just that was last year?
That was. Okay. It was actually February of 19 is when we started kind of toying with the lights and trying to get them focused.
Yes.
Then we got into March and we had to shut them down because we were in the migration period, and that they didn't come back on until beginning of May, and they're spectacular. I driving in from Lithopolis here a few weeks ago. Way out by, I think it's Keller Farms, clear out on Lithopolis Road, you can actually see the mountain lit up. I wasn't sure whether you could see it that far out of Lancaster, but there it was, and beautiful.
Well, and one of these things that I'll just bring this up, there are things that we can kind of get tight about in the community. Right. One of them for a while was the new sheriff's department. That was going to be a water issue with the water, not very far from actually where the Miller Pool is down in there, and how that was going to affect it. They built that. As far as I know, we haven't heard a thing about it since then.
No.
It was quite, I don't know if maybe controversial is the word, but it was certainly in the public purview about whether the Parks Department should light the mountain, should not light the mountain. So eventually it all came down on lighting the mountain. And since then, I've heard no one say anything bad about that. It's just a non-starter right now.
After it was up the first week, the one phone call I've received of all of of the entire time it's been lit up now for almost a year is a person didn't like the color of the poles. They'd like to see the poles painted a green or a brown color or something. But other than that, I've not heard the first
Probably
negative
live
comment.
with that negative comment.
Yeah, I'll live with that one.
So, I mean, that was a lot to take on. I mean, from your aspect, and it's your backyard where the lights are right there. So lots going on right there. But again, I think everybody is, at least I'm sure you would say, more than happy with the outcome.
I think the community as a whole is very proud of that project and what that brought to light. No pun intended there.
Yeah. That's why he's the superintendent of the parks. I like that.
Yeah.
Very nice. So again, you talk about first, you kind of got things going there almost a year ago with that, and it just continued.
You and I are both Kiwanis members, and what we did in 2019 with the all-accessible park didn't give you chills. I mean, it just gives me goosebumps to think that we, as Kiwanis members, were the major backing of a $400,000 project, an all-accessible, multi-generational park for children and adults with any abilities or disabilities, and also multi-generational, which allows seniors or people with any physical condition to go in there and also use the exercise equipment. So that was, and it's not done yet. We'll cover that, but that park is up and functional, but we're not done adding to that as Kiwanis members or from the Lancaster Park side.
Well, and again, as Mike indicated, we're both Kiwanis members. This was really a project taken on originally by the Lancaster Kiwanis Club here in town. It was their 100th anniversary, so this became their 100th anniversary project. And Kiwanis was involved in it from the get-go. But just let me say, as a Kiwanian, it would not have gotten done without the work of Mike, who is a Kiwanian, but thank goodness Mike is also superintendent of the parks. Mike really was the backbone of all this and getting it going and keeping it going and really making the game plan together for it to come together. So it's in Kiwanis, again, Lancaster Kiwanis is so proud of that. The parks got a beautiful sign out there as you head out to Hunter Trace, and I've heard more than one person they've never been by there. They come driving by there. They're amazed. I mean, it is packed in there, and that was even in colder months.
Yes. We drive in there to push snow or, to salt the parking lot, and we are surprised day in and day out of how many people are utilizing that park in cold weather. And we get these weekends now that are kind of marginal in temperature. We get into the 50s, and there's a lot of cars in Hunter parking lot utilizing that.
It was really a good winter for the park because, there weren't many days probably when it was, because it's all accessible, it's for all abilities, there probably weren't many days that was completely empty out there. People were able to use that virtually every day.
Yep, you're exactly right. And, being a lighter winter, it helps with the equipment too, because, winter plays havoc on pieces of equipment that are outside. But this was a good winter to get that project through and that equipment through. So it will look brand new as we head into spring, and anyone that hasn't experienced that park will get to go out there and feel that they're in a brand new facility.
And again, it's out there at Hunter Trace Park, just I guess west of here, 3 or 4 miles from right here. Maybe not even that far, 2 or 3 miles possibly. But then there's more to come, right?
There's more to come. There's a shade structure that goes up yet this spring, and a cement pad that's probably 83 feet by 55 feet. So there'll be a lot of area for people to, wheelchairs, walkers, just a lot of nice surfaces for people to sit and read, play. It's an amazing park, and it's going to keep growing.
And I just had Temple Custer Montañez on last week with the March is Disabilities Month. That's a big month for them. And again, the parks, Kiwanis, really, it was a community effort here to get this done. And so many things came together for that. It was like a perfect storm of events, getting everything done, because it was not an inexpensive project. And I think as the project had got on, it got more expensive, as things tend to do. You start that snowball rolling, and there's no stopping it. You're going to get it done regardless of the cost, but things happen.
It started out as a $157,000 project is where we capped that thing and said, this is where we're going to start.
How'd that work out for you?
It didn't make the first meeting. We blew that right out of the water. But it was the willingness of people to want to go out and raise the money that blew it out of the water. It wasn't because we had just set our limits or our sights low. And that was thanks to Kerry Woody and Joan and the whole crew.
Right.
It was just
Right.
an amazing effort.
Yeah, it was, and I know coming up at 26th, I guess what was leading to that was at their big banquet out there. Kiwanis Park, everybody's going to get involved in a nice award out there. And again, from the developmental disabilities side of things, good group to be tied in with. They do wonderful things in this community. When you're involved in the parks and developmental disabilities, you know you've got good people doing things for the right reasons. So,
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be over a year and it's still going on, still constructing.
It is. And just to the partnerships, we as a park system in the city of Lancaster would be dead in the water if it was not for all of the partnerships we have. Everything we do is a partnership with somebody.
Yeah.
And it pulls a community together. And it also makes us stronger as a park system to have all those partnerships.
And I think eventually there'll be something out there indicating some of those great partners
There will.
an
It's coming.
opportunity.
Yes.
And you can see that. So when you walk out there and the kids are involved, take an opportunity to look at that because, as Mike said, there's more people than just Kiwanis and the parks and DD involved in this. It's a great project. So 2019, big year.
Let's go back to what capped the end of that year off, because this was
Actually, the year end.
the year end.
We had it over here for quite a while.
We did, and it was this project came as a thought process in the fall of 2016. We had me and
Really?
one other gentleman standing on Broad Street that said, hey, wouldn't it be neat if we could get people downtown on New Year's Eve? And so 3 years later, it wasn't till New Year's Eve of 19 that we literally lifted it off to the ground. So this project in its conception was born on Broad Street in 16 in less than an hour. The entire scope of what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. And it took us 3 years to get this project off the ground. And I had tears in my eyes when it went up, because I've never worked so hard on a single project and been so proud when we had between 1,500 and 2,000 people standing in the middle of our great city and kissing and hugging and fanfare and music and fireworks. It was just one of the most amazing things in my lifetime I've ever seen.
And isn't it, again, so fulfilling to see a project come together quickly, take a long time to come into fruition, and then it's just as you envisioned it. It was just what you thought it would be.
Everything I ever could have hoped for.
Yeah.
That was the perfect storm, the weather, the people, the attitude, the businesses, the buy-in by all of the businesses downtown that were supporting New Year's Eve events, and they all pushed their patrons out the door to see this at 11:30. It was amazing.
Now, how will this play out each New Year's Eve? Will it make an appearance again
Oh yes.
9-10 months from now?
So the ball has already been all the ornaments were taken off.
Yes.
And they've already been started to be put back on for 2021.
The same ones?
Some of the same ones. Some of them
There could be some new ones.
They're already started to make new ones. So the whole process starts over.
How many were there?
There were 624 on that sphere.
It was pretty impressive.
It was impressive. And here we go again. We're going to do it again. And we want this to be a heritage in Lancaster that attracts people to our downtown at New Year's Eve every year. And we can see this ball go up in the air. This year, we're going to shut down Main Street. So the ball will be lifted from the middle of the intersection of Main and Broad this year.
And when you think of a project, sometimes the first year you do it, sometimes it takes a while to get the steam rolling. And
Yeah.
if you can envision what it was that first year, gosh, I wonder what it's going to look like December
wait.
of this year.
I don't want to wish my year away, but I can't wait.
We're with Mike Tharp, who is superintendent of the parks here in the Lancaster City and Fairfield County. He does everything such a great job with our parks, and you can see how 2019 went. Well, believe me, 2020 is not slowing down. We're going to talk about that with Mike and what's going on here in our park system for the new year coming up, and they're already into March, and we've just got a full year plan for it. So we'll be back with Mike Tharp in just a moment.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
It's a hometown bank. It's located here in Fairfield County. Branches are convenient. They're located here in Pickerington, where my office is. I'm in Lancaster a lot, and they have plenty of branches there. And I much prefer dealing with the hometown banks rather than the larger nationwide chain banks.
So far, everybody's been so personable, and for us to bank with the local bank, and we bank in Lancaster, it's been so wonderful because we'll call somebody, Steve will call somebody, and they'll get back to us right away, or they'll say, okay, we're going to make a decision in the basement tomorrow, and they'll get back to us, rather than calling a bigger bank where we had to wait and we didn't always get the same person the next time we called for a investment banking opportunity, or getting something appraised, any of those kind of things.
Everybody is very customer friendly. A lot of times I'll bring my dog Bear with me, and the staff love him here, and of course he loves them and the treats that he gets. So it's just a nice kind of a family type environment.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Fairfield Today. I want to thank Mike Tharp for joining us today, and also the good folks here at Fairfield Federal, who each and every week allow us to come in. And I was looking at their website, fairfieldfederal.com, and of course they have personal banking, you have business banking, and kind of the buzzword these last few years has been e-banking, electronic banking. And Fairfield Federal, right on the cutting edge of that. If you're involved with your accounts here at Fairfield Federal, and I say here, either here downtown on the West Side branch or up at the Cross Creeks Boulevard location, if you have accounts here, e-banking is something that's available to you. You can get balances, you can transfer money, you can look up all your accounts, you can do so many things just from your Barca Lounger. If you're inside your front room right there, you can sit right there and just get all the information you need from your kitchen table. You can still certainly call people, and if you have questions or you want to ask some other things about any of this, that's possible. But you can do so much of that electronic banking with Fairfield Federal right from the comfort of your own home. And to many people now, so many accounts, checking accounts, or direct deposit, you don't have to come down to the bank for almost any reason anymore. You can do so much of this from your own home. So if that's something that would interest you, then I would go to fairfieldfederal.com and look it up. They have many of the answers to questions you might have right there. They have phone numbers and people you can call, and you can certainly ask questions. But a good place to start through all this electronic banking information would be fairfieldfederal.com. Well, we went through 2019, saw a nice clip there of that ball going up a year ago.
Amazing.
And I can only, and I'm sure you're still amazed. I mean, you're giddy right here. I think the hair would be up on your arms right now if we talk about it.
It does. It's emotional. It really is. That's one of the neatest things. I can't believe it happened.
And I would guess that you'll go out of your way to try to top that in December of this year. We're going to see it, whatever bigger and better might be, and that was as big and better as it got.
Yep. We're going to have to start thinking about the next year after that, because we've already got this year planned of what's going to be bigger and better, and it will be bigger and better. So I can't wait. It's exciting. It gives us a spark. It gives us energy to think of programs and new programs to bring to this community, to bring this community together. That's our charge. That's what we do.
And do a great job with it, you and all your folks. Shane got a picture here, and we'll put that on the screen, of our new 2020 activities and programs book. Really a sharp-looking book. I don't know what it is, maybe 20 pages or so. A beautiful color brochure for the parks this year. And I guess in the front it's got mostly youth, and on the back it's got mostly youth doing things. But where the parks every day are engaged with people in Fairfield County.
We really are. And in this year, in 2020, you'll see us step up our recreation programs for adult and youth to an extent that I don't know that we have been in since maybe the 70s, when anchor hawking was really big, and this town was all abuzz with the anchor families and all of their sports. I don't know that we've come close to that since then with what we're going to push out this year. what we're doing with the parks now, it seems to be received well by our community, which is exciting. But again, as you and I spoke before, the registration numbers for spring soccer are back up into that 800 range. The registration for a brand new program, flag football.
Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting. Really, this will be the first year we've ever taken on a football program. Well, we used to have a football program, and then some years ago we kind of lost it to kingdom buildings, what we call it, refer to it. Somebody else could do it better than we could, so off they went.
And this was when every park had a team.
And
the one I remember, and I these were young kids even when I was, but I can remember the Cherry Street Chargers.
Yep.
That's the one I remember. But every park had their own little team, and that was the league.
It did, and we still the majority of our parks inside the city have a team.
Wow.
And that heritage or that lineage of football in Lancaster, so many people refer back to that. It was, I used to be a Cherry Street Charger or a Hocking Park or a Cedarland or
Sure.
We can't let that stuff go. It's part of us. It's part of our makeup. So we took on that football program, but we also created spring flag football for those kids that weren't involved in soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give the kids something to do. Let's get them off the couch. And flag football, we just registered right at 200 kids for spring.
So 1,000 kids roughly, just in 2 little segments.
Isn't that cool? That's exciting. Yeah, and we're not done there.
No.
So just this week, we learned, and we had put in an application to the Blue Jackets in Columbus.
Ooh.
And they offer a program called Street Hockey. And they will give anybody that they accept the application and validate how it's going to be, the program is going to be facilitated. We went through the process, and they agreed to give Lancaster Parks and Recreation $2,300 of youth and adult street hockey equipment. So we're going to start a street hockey. We're going to start playing street hockey. I mean, I don't know that we're going to create teams or leagues yet. But we're going to play pickup games, and we're going to start doing that in probably June.
So is that going to somehow tie in with, we talk about June, we get into the summer, we think of the music program here. Oddly enough, the Fairfield Federal has been behind for 30 plus years. Is that going to be involved in that somehow?
Yeah, so the opportunity for us to shut down Broad Street every Friday and set that stage up, that's what we do. And it just became kind of a natural to say, if we're going to shut down Broad Street Friday mornings, let's also play street hockey on Broad Street from 10 to 2 on Fridays. It's central to the community. Everybody gets to see what we're doing. It becomes, it becomes community involved.
What a great lunch hour.
What a great lunch hour.
To go out here and if you're not involved, just to watch all this going on.
Exactly. I'm excited about that. And for the United Way Day of Action in June, I think that's June 18th, they're actually going to bring in Stinger, which is the Blue Jackets mascot. And some of the coaches from the Blue Jackets are going to come into town and help us facilitate street hockey while United Way Day of Action is going on the Fountain side. So that's good stuff. That's exciting.
We talked about everything that went on new in 1920 just keeps getting bigger and bigger too. There's no end to this.
There's not. We'll jump over to the pool for a second. Tiki Pool, we're going to do Christmas in July. We're going to show the movie Elf. We're going to bring Santa Claus in. We're going to decorate it with Christmas lights, and we're just in July. So Santa Claus will be there in a swimsuit. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That's kind of out of the box for us. We're going to go to Miller Park, and we're going to do an adult date night at Miller Park.
Yay!
We're going to bring in a DJ, and again, we're going to light up the deck with all kind of colored lights, and we're going to bring in a foam machine and cover the deck with a little foam, and just it's outside of the box. It's outside of the norm, but that's what we want. We want to be relevant today, do something that people are wanting to do.
And I always like to give a plug right here for what Mike did for Miller Pool. I can remember years ago as a Friday night bandstand, I was talking to Pearline down here, seated in a lawn chair. We were watching one of the Friday night bandstand events, and we were talking about, and you were relatively new in the position, and we were just talking about Miller Pool was struggling right then.
Yes, it was.
And I think perhaps on the last legs. I don't want to oversell this, but it was pretty tough right then. And golly, I give the Parks Department so much credit. You put everything back into that. You've plugged that. You've pushed that. You've got events going on. And again, the point of all that is I was a West Side kid growing up. That was really all there was. There was no tiki pool for the West Side kids. That was our pool. That's where everybody for 100 years has gone in this city. And the Parks Department brought it back. So thanks for all you did for that. That's a great thing for the West Side.
And I'll turn the table on you a bit. You were a big part of that, because to hear how you speak of that park and that pool,
I have great memories from it.
That for me said, wow, I need to do something with that pool, for all of the people that remember that pool. And growing up, East Side, West Side, it's just a huge part of the history of Lancaster. And we're coming up on 100 years for that pool. You're right.
Is that right? 100 years.
We're getting there.
Well, the ice plant's gone there. It's not there anymore. But Miller Park is still there, and Miller Pool is going bigger and stronger than ever. It's really remarkable to see this turnaround in just 2 or 3 years.
It is, and it's because we started thinking outside the box. We made it relevant again. It's not just a pool. It's a pool with activities, and that's what people wanted.
Well, we've got a few minutes, and we're going through this book here kind of rapidly. I'd encourage you, where can they pick up this book?
It's here at Fairfield Federal. We try and keep it in all of the major locations of any of the businesses downtown. Banks, Chamber of Commerce, Destination Downtown Lancaster. Visit Fairfield County, another huge partner for us. So is DDL. But yeah, we try and keep it stocked in all of those places.
I'd encourage people to get a copy of this book. It's just got a whole year's worth of information right there. And so we go through the book and we look at things. One of the things we talk about in June, we talk about the skating downtown. We talk about the bandstand. Have you already got all the acts picked? You must have. They're in the book.
They're in the book.
They're in the book.
And there's
got
a
some
bunch
big
of good
acts.
ones. Yeah, we do. We're proud this year. Of course, Bad Influence opens this up like they've done for the last 3 years. Then we went outside the box a little bit this year, and we brought in a band that we're not used to paying those kind of dollars for, but the Motown Sounds of Touch. We're going back to Motown with a group that is known all over this nation. They are the foremost authority on how to represent what Motown used to be.
Like the Temptations, the Four Tops,
exactly.
all that era.
Yep, that
Very
era.
Gordy kind of Motown motion up there. They probably have a lot of that going on too, huh?
Yep, they're bringing all of that into the middle of downtown for free, thanks to Fairfield Federal.
Yeah, and again, we give them a nice plug there for Ron Keaton, who a great guy who we just lost a while back, was instrumental kind of in being involved in this, and Fairfield Federal has continued on with Judy and Mary. Everybody here has just done such a great job. But gosh, the acts you have here, I know, I come down, there isn't a night that is just, the least night there is packed. And it can only get more packed. It's amazing. You got food down here. You got ice cream. It's just a great night.
It has become the place to be on a Friday night in Lancaster. It's just the thing to do on a Friday night. There's not a bad act on the calendar this year.
A lot of good ones here. And again, that's all in the book here. You can get all that. So, so
let's
now
cover one more.
Okay, let's keep going.
Since we were at Miller Park, in 2020, we set out, one of my visions in 2016 was to put a dog park in somewhere in Lancaster. And thanks to Friends of the Lancaster Park, in 2020, that's going to come to fruition in Miller Park on the south side of Miller Park over towards the water department.
Between Miller Pool and right in that area right there?
Correct, over by the Miller Pool parking lot.
Okay.
We're going to create a dog park that is really 150 foot square for little dogs on one side and big dogs on the other side, with maybe a water feature. And it's just one of those things that I wanted to see when I took this position, and we're going to make it happen in 2020. That's going to be another neat one.
There's just no end. Well, there'll be an end to this show, but there's no end to what the Parks is doing in Lancaster and Fairfield County.
There's not, and thanks to my crew, Jennifer and Jim, and Trina down at Alley Park, and Carla over at Olivedale at the Health and Fitness Center and the Senior Center. I have a crew that takes on all of those thoughts and just runs with them, and that's what makes us successful. That and the community supporting all of the crazy things we come up with.
Well, whether it's Rising Park or Alley Park or Cedarland or Miller, I can remember Miller used to have the cement bleachers there, and you had high school baseball there, and that's really what it was. Pretty much that's it. Now it's something for the whole community out there. It's pretty remarkable what goes on through all the parks here. So thanks to you and your tireless staff that do so many things here for the community. We're all the beneficiaries of that, and I know people come to this community because of the parks, and that's a big selling point here. So
thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah,
appreciate it.
Tell Santa Claus we said hi too.
I will.
There's no end to the great stuff that the park to do. We appreciate Mike Tharp being with us today and has done such a great job of kind of explaining what went on in 2019, now into 2020, and just a bigger and better year coming. It is going on right now. I'd encourage you to get the book. Everything is written out in the book. You can find out everything you need to know. So thanks to Mike Tharp and the Lancaster City Parks, and for you for joining us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.